My name is JC Silvey, and welcome to the Loud and Impact podcast. We interview purpose-driven leaders right here in Loudoun County, Virginia. I have two guests today. I have Leesburg Mayor Kelly Burke and Chuck Kuhn with JK Moving Services. Chuck, Mayor Burke, thanks for joining me.
Sure.
Having us.
So, Mayor Burke, yesterday I saw you post on Facebook that the town has a possibility of purchasing the Westpark golf course, what was formerly the golf course. Now it's for sale. And according to what you posted yesterday, there's a chance that the town may be able to purchase it. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I read a newspaper article that Mr. Kuntz was looking at buying the property, the old Westpark property, and we all remember what a disaster the other application was, where they wanted to change the commercial to residential, and we turned it down. And so as I read the article, I had not met Mr. Kuntz before, and so I decided I would just give him a call and see if he'd take my call and if he would talk to me about what his plans were. And he did. I was very surprised. Thank you, Chuck. He was very kind to take my call. And sometimes I'm a bit direct, and perhaps at that phone call I was too, because my first question to him was, "So what do you plan on doing with this property? What are your plans?" And he said, "Why don't you come in and let's talk about it?" And so I did. I went into his offices and we sat down and we talked about it. And my fear was that two things: that someone would try to develop it again into homes.
Right.
And so that was my first question to him. And he said, "No, absolutely not. I'm not interested in developing it. I'm going to put it in a conservation easement. And then I'll look for some nonprofit that might want to buy it and do something with the property." And I said, "Well, I know a nonprofit called the town that would be very interested in it." And I'm speaking for myself because,
Right.
I hadn't, this was an initial discussion. And
Yep.
so he asked, and Chuck, correct me if I'm saying any of this incorrectly, but then he asked if, what would it entail? What would the town need to do? What information? And not knowing it myself, I said, "Can we come back for a meeting? I'll bring some staff people," which is a very common thing to do when you have an applicant. You want to give as much information. You want to understand the whole project.
Yep.
You want to be able to share that information. So we did. I brought the town manager and the Parks and Rec and a couple other people, zoning and planning, to talk about what is it? What would we, what is he thinking, and what would Mr. Kuntz be thinking about? And he was very honest and very open about it. My second concern was that perhaps a data center might be going in there. And he said, no, he didn't, that wasn't what he was looking for either. He wanted to preserve this space. And I was so impressed with his honesty and his integrity and his willingness to look at this property for what it is. And it is a gem. My one concern was that it was a golf course at one point, and would everybody expect it to remain a golf course?
Right.
And that would have been a little bit problematic.
Right.
So that's why I sent out the email, or not
Right.
the email, the Facebook post. I said, we had this opportunity. I had two questions. Would you be okay if it became a park? And what would you think about purchasing it? And I have had hundreds of responses that have said, keep it a park. We didn't realize how important it was. Now that it's not a golf course, we've been walking on it. I've taken my family there. They gave me all sorts of examples of things that they have done in this parkland, and they now want to keep it as a park, which is what is desperately needed. And during this quarantine time, I think it became very obvious that open space is so important. And this is a beautiful piece of property. And so the opportunity is here. The town council will be discussing it at the next meeting and getting some details and getting some insight into what are all, what's the whole idea. I think it's a great opportunity, and shame on us if we don't, if we let it slip through our fingers. we should be preserving this for our children and our children's children and the children after that.
Right.
And,
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's a legacy issue. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
right.
There just isn't any land left inside of Leesburg that would even come close to giving the residents this kind of opportunity. And it's just right here in front of us. So really, I guess the devil is in the details, right? So, Chuck, if you want to jump in here and talk a little bit about your side of the plan.
Great. I was very excited when I received the call from Mayor Burke. We had looked at the property quite some time back, and while we were looking at it, others were looking at it, and unfortunately, a home builder had gotten in there and put the property under contract, as you know, and they were moving aggressively forward with a plan to put a number of homes in there on the golf course. And we kind of accepted the fact that we didn't win the bid, and it was what it was. And when we heard that the town was not approving the ultimate plan and that the home builder was dropping out, we reached back out to the owners, told the owners what we wanted to do. They were supportive and in favor. We put the property under contract, and literally I was working with our attorneys on the conservation easement plan and strategy, and thinking about, okay, what will we do with the property post easement? And literally the next day is when Mayor Burke called and asked what our plans were. It was kind of ironic. I'd never done any business or had any dealings with Mayor Burke prior to that phone call. I was excited to meet her. I was really impressed with her proactive nature and trying to do what I think is the right thing for the property. So we finished the economics of the situation and came back to Mayor Burke with a proposal to place it into conservation easement, carve off the 8-acre commercial site, and then sell it back at a greatly reduced price to the town. So the proposal is in the town's hands. We would love to see it happen. If it does happen, we'll move forward with our conservation easement plan. And see if we can protect the open space. A few questions I've been receiving is, what is our plans with the commercial site that will be carving off the 8 acres? And really, I don't know the answer there. We've looked at hotel sites. Obviously, now that we're in the COVID challenge, hotels aren't really the best place to go today. So we'll carve off the commercial site. And it's really to be determined what we do with that 8-acre site in the future.
So can either one of you talk about that, what it's going to cost the town? Is that something that you can talk about at this point?
Mayor, would you like to take that?
Well, I mean, the intent, the letter of intent does specify a $3.4 million amount for the property for 137 acres, I believe it is. And the town will, of course, have it appraised and that sort of thing. But we're not really, we're concerned that the commercial stay commercial. That's very important to us, and that whatever gets developed there is commercial. But the prospect of being able to maintain this and keep this this site for indefinitely is
Right.
very important, and I think it's an opportunity, again, like I said, that we just it's one in a million chance.
Are there any creative ways to pay for that?
There are. I mean, we do have some stimulus money coming to the town. We've got some capital projects that could be postponed. So staff is looking at what are some things that we could hold off on, that we could bring it together. We also got money from the county for another park, Veterans Park. Maybe that would be something to look at. So we'll look at a lot of different options and a lot of different possibilities.
I think it's exciting, and I maybe some people originally, when they saw your post, might have been thinking that it should be free, right? Like, and that's to be expected, I think. But in the end, I don't think anything is going to be free these days. And Mr. Kuhn obviously has a responsibility to his company and to do what's in his best interest, obviously. But just the fact that we're having this discussion, I think, is a great start. I don't know whether $3.5 million is a great deal or if it's a bad deal. I honestly do not know, but I assume that the town will do their due diligence and figure out a fair market value and then negotiate that as best as they possibly can. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. And, there's the opportunities abound afterwards, if we do end up having the opportunity to purchase it. What we'll probably do, and I'm just saying probably because this is what's been done in the past, we'll get a citizens master plan group together and they'll sit down and decide what will go in there. What will that park look like 10 years from now, 20 years from now?
Right.
And that sort of thing. So for a while, we can't expect changes tomorrow,
Sure.
but there will be a plan in place, and it's an exciting opportunity. And I'm obviously, you can tell I'm very excited about it.
Yeah. Chuck, this is a big opportunity for you as well. You've got a long history of putting Western Loudoun land in conservation easements. This is another big project for you.
This is a neat one, and it's neat because I have never been involved with a piece of property that we've received more emails, text messages, phone calls, Facebook, and social media posts over.
Yeah.
I mean, the community really cares about this piece of property,
Yeah.
which is neat. Everybody would like to see it preserved and protected and made into to either a golf course or a park. Nobody seems to have wanted to see it developed.
Right.
I just hope, and it concerns me, the property is being sold back to the town millions of dollars below its value, below its appraised value, certainly millions below what it would be worth if it was developed. I wouldn't be willing to sell it at that price to anyone other than a charity or the township. It just
Right.
concerns me during an election year, no different than we're seeing and living through COVID, regardless of what political ties you have. I hope they can look at this opportunity to protect the open space on its own merit. And I really hope that it doesn't become a political situation in an election year for the town.
I
You
couldn't.
and me both.
Yeah, I know Mayor feels the same way. And that is tough once politics become involved. But this really, I think, should be a unifying prospect for all of us. I know just reading your Facebook page, Mayor, it was just incredible. The comments and people are so excited about it. And I know I am. I'm a big fan of it. And Chuck and I, when we were talking last month a little bit about it, you mentioned, kind of alluded to it. And that's why I wanted to bring you on the podcast today to hear more detail. So thank you both for joining me today. I appreciate your time. Mayor Burke, what's the best way for people to comment, whether it's a positive comment or a negative comment, and provide some input to the process?
Well, they can do it two ways. First off, I do want to say thank you to Chuck for considering all of this. This is a unique opportunity, and I want to thank him for doing that. It's really above and beyond. So thank you. But if you want to contact the council itself as a whole, all you have to do is address council@leesburgva.gov. And if you want to do individual members, myself, I'm Kay Burke at leesburgva.gov. Just the initial and the last name and at leesburgva.gov.
Great. Chuck, Mayor Burke, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Yes. Talk to you soon.